Hello and welcome. Thank you for taking the time today to join us on this professional learning session. My name's Karen Brooke, my company's Ocean Education, and I'm a partner and equity specialist working with DARPL. This presentation focuses on fostering inclusion in Welsh sports. Today, we'll aim to raise awareness and highlight the importance of anti-racist practice. We'll promote inclusion in Welsh sports and offer strategies for inclusive practices. We also plan to provide practical guidance, empowering organisations with practical tools. This will empower organisations to foster inclusive environments. Building on the terminology discussed in the introduction to the RWAP e-learning session, we need to establish a clear understanding of key terms. Race refers to socially constructed categories based on perceived differences. Ethnicity relates to cultural heritage, traditions, and shared history. Inclusion means creating an environment where everyone feels valued and respected. The impact of racism in sport is significant and can be detrimental to individuals and communities. Thinking of individual impact, experiences of racism lead to stress and anxiety and trauma responses. Athletes may feel isolated and unsupported, unable to perform to their optimum or reach potential. Moving to team dynamics, racism damages trust and cohesion within teams. This affects morale and performance. Values are impacted as racism contradicts fundamental principles of sportsmanship. It erodes the integrity of sport. Focusing on inclusion in sport, equity is about recognising that different people have different circumstances and needs, and it aims to provide the resources and opportunities necessary for everyone to reach an equal outcome. Sport should be accessible. Everyone should have the chance to participate regardless of their background. Talent in sport. Representative participation enriches sport. It enhances performance across all levels and more talent emerges. Inclusion in sport fosters stronger communities. Sport promotes understanding and respect, and it creates social inclusion. Data from Sport England's Active Lives Adult Survey shows that compared with white British adults, most ethnically diverse adults have lower odds of being physically active. 22% lower for white minorities, including Romani (Gypsies), Roma and travellers, and those who practice Judaism. 35% lower for black adults, 45% lower for South Asian adults, 49% lower for Chinese adults, 42% lower for adults from other ethnic groups. Across the portfolio of jobs in sport, measured by standard occupational classification codes, people from racially minoritized backgrounds account for 7% of the workforce, which is half their incidence in the working population of 14%. Representation is notably low for the influential roles such as sports coaches, instructors and officials at 5% and leisure and sports managers at 6%. Here are hard facts that demonstrate the inequities that exist. Sporting Equals wrote a comprehensive race representative index report. I really encourage you to read this report and consider its content in your anti-racist planning. The organisation measured the diversity overview of 55 of the 63 national governing bodies, that's Sport England UK sport funded bodies in England. The RRI is a baseline for national governing bodies to work from and show the journey they are making in delivering diversity, equity and inclusion in the workplace. When looking at this data, we need to consider our national, regional and local data. The ONS census data can be helpful as a baseline. In the UK, 18.3% of the population's ethnicity is not white British, Welsh, Irish, Scottish, English. We also overall consider that Gypsy has been grouped into white. Overall, the RRI reveals that there is not true representation of the population across any sporting category. Significantly, there are low numbers in senior leadership, coaching and officiating, the more powerful positions. One of the most unrepresented racialised groups in sport is that of Muslim women. La, Shai and Ashraf highlight that despite this, there is a recorded positive interest from many Muslim women towards sport, and that their religion is often perceived to be more of a barrier by others than it is to themselves. La et al. 2019. Welsh sport is a vibrant tapestry of cultures. Understanding the current landscape is crucial. We must recognise existing disparities. Then we can address the under- and misrepresentation of Black, Asian and minority ethnic groups. Black, Asian and minority ethnic sport participants are underrepresented. This is especially true in certain sports. Participation rates vary. Leadership: there is a lack of Black, Asian and minority ethnic people in leadership positions. This needs to be addressed within organisations. Access to facilities is unequal. Some communities face geographical barriers. Affordability and environmental, cultural sensitivities are also a key factor. Consultancy AKD Solutions, in partnership with UK Sport, heard the sporting experiences of more than 300 people from Black, Asian and minority ethnic communities. In combination with the Sports Industry Research Centre at Sheffield Hallam University, analysing all existing data held by Sports Wales, UK Sport, Sports England, Sports Scotland and Sport Northern Ireland on ethnicity in sport. This formed the Tackling Racism and Racial Inequalities in Sports review in 2021. In response to the review, the Sports Wales CEO stated, "Our goal is to ensure that everyone in Wales can have a lifelong enjoyment of sport. The review's findings underline the fact that not enough is being done across the UK to make sport welcoming, inclusive and diverse, so that people have positive experiences at every level. It's been incredibly saddening to hear the impact that racism and racial inequality has had on individuals' lives, resulting in ethnic diverse communities being consistently disadvantaged. This cannot continue to happen. Sport Wales and the entire Welsh sports sector need to rethink how we deliver sport in a truly inclusive manner to achieve transformational change. We have seen there's been progress in small pockets, but we need a collective approach from the sports pitches to the boardrooms if we're going to see sustained change. By undertaking this professional learning, you are part of the transformational anti-racist change." In addition, Chair of Sports Wales, Lawrence Conway, stated, "We fully accept that we don't have all the answers, so we really want to work more closely with other organisations who have greater experience in this area and with community leaders from the diverse communities that we want to engage with. In order to fully address racism and inequalities, there must be collaboration, co-production and co-creation with racialised communities when designing, embedding, delivering and sustaining equitable change. We have an excellent e-learning session on co-production and co-creation in sport to help guide you and your organisation with this." In Wales, the Anti-Racist Wales Action Plan 2024 provides an anti-racist framework. It supports our efforts to promote inclusion. Its key objectives include addressing systemic racism, It also seeks to promote equality. The plan also aims to foster understanding across communities. In terms of sport, Sport Wales offers valuable guidance. It supports organisations in creating inclusive environments. This includes promoting diverse leadership. It also supports implementing inclusive policies. It encourages community engagement. Black, Asian and minority ethnic groups face specific barriers. These limit their participation in sports. These include lack of access, cultural insensitivity and discrimination. Addressing these barriers is required to promote equitable participation. Looking at the Lawn Tennis Association's case study, the LTA implemented inclusive strategies via their LTA Serves programme. They established 12 LTA Serves programmes in 12 communities, providing weekly tennis sessions, equipment and coaching, and an annual tennis festival in partnership with local organisations. They trained 80 leaders in anti-racist practice. They developed a pool of new tennis coaches, including 18 young people from Black, Asian and minority ethnic communities. LTA increased participation among Black, Asian and minority ethnic young people and children within the programmes and increased representation in the tennis workforce in Wales. LTA reports that the potential impact includes a long-term increase in participation in tennis among Black, Asian and minority ethnic communities and increased social inclusion and community cohesion. For an in-depth look at their anti-racist work, check out the case study on the virtual campus. Welsh Athletics undertook an anti-racism training plan. In partnership with Show Racism the Red Card Wales, a 3-day anti-racism training programme was delivered to all staff members. A review of existing policies was undertaken and updated to ensure they were anti-racist and inclusive. Welsh Athletics developed an equality, diversity and inclusion strategy and action plan to address identified areas for improvement. They implemented ongoing education and awareness programmes for staff and volunteers and continue to have continued collaboration with Show Racism the Red Card. As a result, they report there is an increased awareness of racism and its impact within the Welsh Athletics organisation. They also have reported an increased focus on diversity and inclusion within recruitment and talent development, as well as an enhanced understanding of anti-racism principles amongst staff. For an in-depth look at their anti-racist work, check out the case study on the virtual campus. We also have case studies from Hockey Wales and the WRU. Working together with and in communities is vital. Building trust within communities is critical. This involves culturally tailored programmes, provision of multilingual resources where relevant, and collaborating with community leaders. Organise sports events together with Black, Asian and minority ethnic groups and think about communities such as Romani, Gypsies, Roma and traveller people, Muslims and those practising Judaism. Collaborate with community leaders and members. Provide time for staff to build genuine and meaningful connections. These steps foster trust. Inclusive coaching practices foster safe spaces. These are where all athletes feel valued and respected. This involves anti-racism and cultural sensitivity training for coaches. Also establishing clear anti-discrimination policies. Promoting open communication is crucial. A lovely example of collaboration and communication is available on the Hockey England website, who in partnership with Muslim Sports Foundation provided information about Ramadan and how to best provide an inclusive environment for players, coaches and staff of the Islamic faith. Role models matter. diverse leadership and representation are essential for anti-racism to prevail. Role models inspire and empower. Role models encourage racialised youth to participate and adults to join the profession. How do we put guidance into action? Effective policy implementation is crucial. This translates guidance into tangible action. This involves clear guidelines and accountability. Consistent monitoring ensures policies are effective to facilitate inclusion. An example of this is Sports Wales, who operate a safe and confidential reporting mechanism. They have confidential reporting channels. All reports are taken seriously and the identity of reporters kept safe. There are 3 ways to report: online portal, helpline and confidential email. 95% of cases reported are investigated within 1 week, with 100% transparency. Monitoring and evaluation is required to track progress and guide developing practice. For in-depth support in measuring anti-racist practice, undertake our Measuring Anti-Racism Practice e-learning session. However, I think we can all agree that development work requires staff, systems, funding and investment. Hence, dedicated funding opportunities and internal budgeting for anti-racist practice is required. Finance needs to be in place for community programmes employing or contracting Black, Asian and minority ethnic people, and investing in training coaches, leaders and sporting staff. Dismantling systemically racist infrastructures all requires time and money. Education and professional learning is the base building block to the why of anti-racism. It raises awareness about lived and living experiences of racism and anti-racism. This includes workshops. There are different ways to access professional learning, including DARPL's virtual campus. DARPL also partners with providers such as myself who can deliver live or face-to-face professional learning. Building on partnership and collaboration is key. Collaboration is essential for progress. Partnering with Black, Asian and minority ethnic-led community organisations and contractors who are Black, Asian and minority ethnic, combined with working with sports governing bodies, is important. This helps to achieve shared goals. These partnerships amplify marginalised voices. Together, we create positive change. It is also important to share success stories and celebrate achievements as you would with any successful athlete. Sharing success stories inspires others, and a lack of role models is consistently cited as a barrier to participation. We must discuss difficult issues openly and address challenges, as this will promote transparency. Developing solutions collaboratively with communities ensures the lived experience is core to a people-centred solution. Key challenges can include building trust and rapport with community groups, overcoming resource constraints and securing ongoing funding, addressing the isolation of equality, diversity and inclusion roles within the sports sector, identifying and engaging with individuals from ethnically diverse communities for coaching roles. Different organisations use different models to plan their inclusion approaches. If we look at Sports Ed 2022 example, they have outlined their why, what and how. We encourage developing your own anti-racist theory of change and logic models to support your anti-racist work. Our Measuring Anti-Racist Practice e-learning webinar outlines how you can do this. There are several initiatives that promote diversity in sport, from grassroots programs that empower marginalised communities to elite level strategies promoting diversity in coaching, administrative and leadership roles. However, efforts have to extend beyond the field, court, track, ring and pitch, etc. We need to aim to reshape the very fabric of sporting organisations, governance and culture. True inclusion focuses on creating pathways for talent development, eliminating under and misrepresentation, and fostering a genuine sense of belonging to create a more inclusive and equitable playing field for everyone. Have a look at Sporting Equals for a UK perspective and move to the Sports Diversity and Inclusion Symposium as a US example, and the Australian Sports Commission from Australia, who outline different anti-racist implementations. For this reflective task, yourself and or your team should take half an hour to complete this activity. You can use the provided template to populate your answers, and you also need to access the 2021 census data from the Office for National Statistics so you can check the official ethnicity figures for your local, regional and national area. Consider marginalised groups like Romani, Gypsies, Roma and Traveller people, and those practicing Islam and Judaism. After you have completed the reflected task, it'd be great if you could send it to DARPL at cardiffmet.ac.uk to share your reflections with the team, as we are constantly gathering information to inform our work.